Marvel's Eternals. Was it good? That's the question we're going to be answering here on Was It Good, along with filling you in on some Easter eggs, things that you missed, and our general thoughts on Eternals. This is Was It Good? I'm Ravi, joined by Krishna. We're missing Arjuna. No idea where he is. And as always, Mr. Michael's over in the producer's chair.
Nice. We got to get Michael his own close-up camera.
We could like a
really unflattering
angle.
No,
any angle will do that.
That's not true. Everyone knows the top-down angle is the best angle, I think.
It is. It's supposed to make you look thinner.
I don't know.
Krishna, of course, is referencing the fact that we do put our full podcast in video form on YouTube/Was It Good.
That's exactly what I was going for.
Were you really? No. Yeah. You just forget.
Good save, though. Good
you
save.
forget that this is a audio podcast.
I do. I think of this as YouTube first.
That's
why do I bother shaving my head?
That's wrong. Krishna, what did you think of Eternals in one word?
Wow, one word.
One word impression.
Ooh, I'm gonna
Don't
say.
even think. Just go.
I'm gonna say surprised.
Wow.
Surprised. Yeah. So Eternals. Eternals was sort of a roller coaster build up. When I first saw the heard about it, wasn't excited because I was like, I don't know who the fuck the Eternals are. And I saw the first trailer, I was like, wow, this looks really cool. Saw the second trailer, I'm like, this looks really cool. And then in the week leading up to it, no matter how much you try to avoid Twitter and
TikTok.
early reviews and TikTok,
Yep.
the negative critical response floated into your awareness, and all of a sudden my excitement, sort of tanked. It's like, oh boy, I'm setting myself up to failure. So I really went in just trying to keep a very blank mind, and I was surprised at how much I enjoyed it. So I was engaged. It was funny. It's a different kind of MCU movie, and even though it did feel and look, well, not look so much, but feel different, I was surprised at how much I think it is going to be a MCU. Like how important I think it's going to be in the MCU, and maybe and going forward how it will fit. Like maybe it's setting up some different things, which is good. Let's be honest, MCU's it needs to bring in some different stuff.
It needs not to do what Black Widow did.
Correct.
Which was repeat what we've had for the last 10 years.
Yeah. Or just be a forgettable movie.
Forgettable movie, big action
Eternals
sequences.
was not that.
Dramatic after credit scene. The end. That's basically the Marvel formula.
Yeah, exactly.
Question for you, because Michael, actually, you pointed this out kind of jokingly, kind of serious. Part of the marketing material behind the Eternals was, Eternals, this changes everything.
Oh yeah.
The big marketing slogan was everything changes.
Yeah.
Did you pick up on anything that you would suggest is the big change? Maybe the whole movie as a whole,
yeah. Well, it seems like the biggest thing that you would take from Eternals is they sort of introduce an origin story, right, into everything. Every great fantasy usually touches upon some kind of creation, right, or creation idea or whatever, and so we sort of have the rumblings of one here in the MCU. We know now in the MCU how galaxies are formed, right? It's not supernova events and gas clouds and atomic events of that nature. No, it's giant beings, celestials creating galaxies, right? So essentially gods creating life, right, or creating the playground for life.
I actually a question on that, right? So that is, in any story there is the narrator or the info dump or the thing that's telling you that information. In some really good stories, the narrator or the person is giving you that information is not necessarily a reliable source. Being that the Celestials are, a being, they are somewhat selfish and self-centered in terms of they're thinking of how to do things.
Yes.
Do you think it's possible that maybe that's not the whole truth?
Yeah, I don't think it's not only possible. I think that's more than likely, right? I think recently we've been introduced to a lot of very big ideas in the MCU. Multiverses. Now we're getting Celestials and creation. So we're only getting a piece of the picture. This is like the first. You think this is the first movie even dealing with this stuff. We're just getting into multiverse, so we absolutely don't have the full picture. This is why the creators, they can't put everything on the table. Otherwise, what would be the point in watching the rest, right? So yeah, I'm curious. I love the idea of unreliable sources of information. That's a great way to drive conflict and reveal information and whatnot. So honestly, I think the best slogan for this movie could be "Stay tuned."
I think that makes a lot of sense.
There's a lot of good stuff to come, I think.
I thought the big, from the marketing perspective, the big change to the MCU was going to be we show sex scenes now.
God, when I saw that, I think my mouth was like...
I do like the parents, not like our parents, but like just I saw a lot of parents reacting to that whole sequence, saying, "How could Disney and Marvel put something like that in there?" Because it's
how could they?
and I guess the thing that's like scary to me is like there are parents that are upset about this, showing a very bland, not really like over sexualized
you see some
sex
back?
scene.
Yeah.
You see some back.
It's classic missionary.
Big deal.
Come on.
But like if you're a parent taking your kid to a PG-13 movie and you're upset about that, but you're okay with like the violence galore. The violence galore is okay to some parents, but God, you show some sex, holy fuck.
Yeah. I mean, to be honest, though, we sort of have had that sort of archaic thinking in this country, at least. In Europe, they seem to be a bit more open to that kind of stuff. It's funny. We're flipped from Europe. We're okay with guns and violence, but sex, no. In Europe, they're okay with sex, but guns and violence is like, no, that's not okay.
One creates life, one takes life.
I'm overgeneralizing.
No, of course. I mean, we're definitely overgeneralizing.
But it seems to be like, at least that's the portrayal of the two places on Earth.
I thought that was
two of those.
Let's talk. We should talk about the Middle East then in Eternals. I mean, as the taping of this pod, I believe they're still banned from certain countries over there.
Yeah.
Because of the inclusion of LGBTQT plus content, which again, I don't see the big deal on why it's the 22nd century.
Me and you don't see the big deal, but
they do.
But yeah, let's be honest.
It's bizarre. I mean, they're missing out on a very interesting and fun movie. And this brings me to my one-word impression, which is going to be, I just lost it. What is that word where, I want to say, not conflict,
Polarizing?
Polarizing. That's it.
Potatoes,
yeah. Polarizing. And I think it makes sense to use the word polarizing because, like you said, right, earlier reviews tank this movie on Rotten Tomatoes critic score, which, by the way, quick PSA, never base seeing a movie on Rotten Tomatoes critic score. It's absolute dog shit.
Yeah.
It makes no sense. It's the entire United States and essentially anyone who is accredited to some form of journalism, and we're talking paper to digital, which, it's very easy to get a blog up and running and call yourself a journalist.
Yeah. How hard is it to get that Rotten Tomatoes?
I don't know. I'm kind of wondering, like, can we do it? Because
if you put out enough content and have a certain audience, probably.
Again, so it's like I don't believe that the critic score means anything anymore. I think the audience score makes more sense.
Yes.
But like you said, like it was definitely polarizing. And again, I was the same way. I went into this movie thinking, oh, I should set my expectations like nice and low. But I was definitely, to your point, surprised. Like this was very, very different from anything we've seen.
Yeah.
Presented a lot of brand new ideas. It also took the Marvel formula of let's give some backstory. Let's have some dialogue, action sequence, dialogue, big battle, end, after credit scene. It took the same kind of formula, but it also made it interesting. Like the action sequences weren't this like, okay, just hurry up and get to the interesting part. I'm done. Like there was actual stakes to it. Things actually happened that were surprising.
Yeah.
Right true. From like, Kingo.
Yep.
Leaving, before the big battle even started at the very end. Didn't see that one coming. To certain characters, perishing.
Yep.
The other thing too with this movie, and to your point of being surprised, like Marvel trailers and trailers in general, for the most part, kind of give a general sense of what's happening.
Sometimes too much, right?
Sometimes too much.
Yeah.
The Eternals trailer, whoever the trailer editor was for this, I think some of the best trailers ever, because it presented the core of what's happening. There's an emergence. We got to get the team back together.
Yeah.
But then it also, what you got wasn't what you were thinking. Like when I saw the trailers, I was thinking Icarus and Ajax were kind of leading the front to get the team back together, right? And they were kind of the two central characters.
Yep.
Instead, it was really Cersei, played by Jenna Chan, who was kind of the main character, and everyone was supporting around her.
Yeah.
And again, that's because the trailer threw me for a loop, which was great.
And Ajax was dead.
And Ajax was dead. Yeah. Ajax was dead.
I was like, when we saw that, yeah. Hopefully they know that this is a spoiler-filled podcast. But yeah, when the first time you see Ajax, I'm like, oh, that's weird. Like, that must be like a clone, or
Yeah, I did.
And then you show that she's dead. I'm like, oh, okay. All right, well,
give me that popcorn. I'm ready for this shit.
I think a prediction I had before the movie is that like 70% of the Eternals would die. So when I saw that, I was like, yeah,
I'm on path.
I'm on fire.
Yeah,
but it didn't quite
I
turn out
thought
that way.
Angelina Jolie's character,
oh man,
Thena, was going to be kind of like the big bad. Like, you kind of knew before you saw, like,
she was going to be some kind of rogue.
You kind of knew somebody in the Eternals was going to go bad. I didn't think it was going to be Icarus. And again, I don't know anything about the Eternals except for like the little Wikipedia that I did before.
Yeah.
I do want to read the original Jack Kirby Eternals.
Oh, so this got you interested in that?
Definitely want to kind of, because again, it's like it goes to like the idea of like creation within the cinematic. Like, it gives the starting point.
Yeah.
Right. And then brings us to the present, which is cool.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, good stuff.
Yeah, and then like again with the action sequences, like Gilgamesh's character, perishing. I didn't think that was going to happen.
Yeah.
I thought again like a normal Marvel movie, like Civil War is a really good example. Like in the comics, there's actual death of characters,
Stakes.
there are actual stakes. In Civil War, it's a great movie. There's a lot of emotion, etc. But at the end of the day, it's
by the end of
it, it's like, hey, Cap's like, hey, if you ever need me, give me a ring.
Yeah. Everything is fixed with a note.
Exactly.
No one dies.
Nothing like. I mean, granted, like
their feelings are hurt.
War Machine, like Don Cheadle's War Machine, obviously, gets paralyzed. That is pretty bad. But again, like when you compare Civil War to Eternals, shit actually happens in Eternals where, that group of people who have been around for 7,000 plus years or millions of years or whatever, shit's changed for them. Just a bit.
Just a little bit.
Just a bit.
Yeah. Oh man. Yeah. You know what else I really thought was surprising about the movie? Is that I thought they balanced the large team cast like really well. Like you got the different viewpoints of like most of the members, and when they opposed each other, I thought they did a good job of that infighting within a team, much like any family has. Particularly, I thought the strongest ones were Druig.
Yep,
I was like he really, I thought, was like what drew me in like the most in terms of his viewpoint, the acting, just how
Barry
Keoghan, I think.
Keoghan,
yeah.
Who was also
fantastic.
he was in Dunkirk, which I always forget.
Yeah.
Along with Harry
Styles
as well.
Yep. Dunkirk alum.
Dunkirk alum.
Yeah. Co-stars or whatnot. But yeah, I mean, a lot of cool surprises in this one. So
where do you fall? Like a lot of like there were two like big pieces of criticism with the film where it was you threw a bunch of characters at me that I don't care about. Was number one, which again mind-boggling. Number two was I think the biggest criticism people kept arguing was like, why all of a sudden are the Eternals doing anything if they've been around for like 7,000 years?
Right.
I have my own thoughts on that, but do you have an answer to that? After seeing the movie that explains that?
Yeah. I want to go with what they gave us, which is they were told to do nothing until the Deviant showed up. And I thought they did a good job of sort of explaining that. They're all about Arishem, right? Arishem is this six-eyed giant celestial?
He is a celestial. Yeah.
He is a celestial.
Yep.
Who gives them explicit orders, like, do this. and at the appointed, and he tells the leader Ajak, and then Gemma Chan's character, I totally forget her name, Cersei, hold the course until the emergence, right? And only those two characters are allowed to know or given privy to like what the emergence is. And they're all about it. Like it shows like they're on a ship. They believe in the teachings of Arishem. They're, spreading that gospel. Well, kind of. I mean, they help advance civilization, right? Human civilization. They didn't know why they were doing it necessarily. Those motives were hidden from most of them, except for Ajak.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it seemed pretty obvious why they wouldn't have gotten involved, and I thought, and that was the point of contention,
right?
That fractured the team. Some of them wanted to get involved, some didn't. Some wanted to go home. Like I thought that was great. So to me, that criticism is probably coming from people who either haven't seen the movie or they put on a blindfold and earmuffs during the movie. So I thought that was explained pretty well.
It's weird because like a lot of people complain about Marvel.
Yeah.
And then Marvel does something and Disney does something different.
Yeah.
And they still I think they just like to complain.
Yeah, I mean, we could go put on our conspiracy theory hats.
Yes.
As you've already mentioned, this movie featured a lot of ideas that, probably rub people the wrong way.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of representation that, some people, and I do believe it's just a very vocal minority. But let's be honest, it's easy to create different accounts and scream into the void. And if you do it loud enough and long enough, people will pick it up, and you create you create a larger backlash than there actually is.
Right.
So
you're amplifying just one voice as opposed to many voices. Yeah.
Exactly. So yeah.
And then I guess the other thing too, like along the lines of multiple characters, like I said at the beginning, like Cersei's really kind of the main character, I would say, in this, and everyone's kind of supported.
Yeah, she's like our through line.
With that being said, do you think certain characters were even necessarily needed, such as Kingo? Did we need that storyline? Did we need the storyline with Thena and Gilgamesh? Sprite even, going that deep into these characters, like backstories. Is it needed? Does it make sense? Especially like with let's jump on Sprite real quick. So Sprite is character. What is her ability is basically kind of illusion, projections and illusion. And then she's also stuck in a youthful age. Like I believe the actress is, I think, in her teens.
Yeah.
And the character is also supposed to be in her teens, and she's stuck in her teens. By the end of the movie, Cersei is able to kind of set her free.
Quite conveniently, yeah.
Quite conveniently set her free, and then, for the most part, that character is now gone. I mean, granted, an individual that has lived 7,000 years that they are aware of and now can grow older, maybe she'll come back as a different character as the actress ages.
I mean, I think I look at it as like she probably isn't going anywhere. She'll end up being sort of like a helper to our team. Like every superhero and every team has helpers, right?
Right.
Non-powered helpers. Right.
So you think
she'll be one of them?
She'll be one of them.
Yeah.
I mean, the other thing that's kind of interesting, like whenever an actor or an actress comes or is presented like a Marvel part, either in the Disney Plus series or the movies, it seems obviously very common that they're signing multi-picture deals.
Yeah.
And the actress that plays Sprite,
where is she?
Leah McHugh. I don't believe she has publicly said anything similar to what Selma Hayek and Don Lee have said, both of which have both said that they signed multi-picture deals with Marvel, even though both characters in the Eternals film perish by the end.
Easy explanation, though, right?
The explanation that, what's his face? Aramesh?
Aramesh. I like it.
How do you
Arishem.
What is it?
I think it's Arishem.
Arishem.
Or Arishem.
Is that their minds are consistently downloaded to some kind of, world builder or world builder where multiple copies of them, I believe, are like they're synthetic, right? They're not real.
Yeah. We also have that, I think when someone was explaining it, we shoot rows and rows and rows of each like version of of the Eternals. So yeah, it seems to be it's like this specific group isn't the first iteration. And I'm curious. I'm like, it sounds like there's other copies of them on other planets doing the same thing, because that explains the ending, right? When some of them get on the ship to fly off and be like, "Hey, we're going to tell the other Eternals." I would assume it's like copies of them.
See, that's why I was confused by, because
it is confusing.
Harry Styles shows up and he is playing the character of Eros, who is an Eternal, according to the comics.
Right.
I don't know if he calls himself. He's kind of in their outfit, but again, like an outfit is anything you can go find at Spirit Halloween stores.
Yeah.
So it's possible he just picked it up. But again, he doesn't look necessarily like them. Yeah. So I wonder if it's a direct copy. I mean, I'm sure there's got to be different variants. Ooh, there's that word. Variants.
No.
Variants, but then there could be just also other Eternals where,
that's true. Like other models or
other models or other types.
Yeah.
So I mean, either way, it's all going to be kind of interesting there.
Yeah, I was confused by that, because up until that point I was like, oh, okay, so other groups of Eternals would just be like other Druids and other Kingos and other Icaruses. Icari. Plural Icaruses, Icari.
So obviously at the end...
But apparently not.
So Icarus obviously flies into the sun. That's funny. Because of the whole story of Icarus
Greek
flying.
myth.
But did he get too close?
Do you think he's gone? Do you think he'll come back? I mean, granted, Icarus is played by Richard Madden.
Yeah.
Who everyone says did a great job. I thought he was a little stone.
Really? I thought it was great. So for that character, I thought it was great. Yeah.
He made me feel uncomfortable the entire film. So yeah, he did a good job there.
Oh yeah.
But still made me feel uncomfortable.
No, and that was what was so good about it. Intense, charismatic, natural born leader. Something very slightly off about him the whole time, and it was so well done. I thought, honestly, I thought.
So you'd be cool seeing Icarus again?
Oh, absolutely. I hope so. Yeah. I hope he's coming back and he serves as some kind of, villain. Like he plays that role really well. And you understand why. Like he is simply serving out his function, right? Mm-hmm. They're created to do this thing. And he is simply carrying that function out all the way. So you can't even like blame him for what he did. It's like that's what they were built to do, which is the interesting conversation.
I don't think you see him as a villain though, because of his actions.
I know.
If he comes back, he comes back as a team member.
Which is,
I think if he comes back, he would be similar to Kingo, where Kingo does not interfere with the big battle at the end and stopping the new Celestial from being born, because he does believe, and he, to his point, who are we to kind of stop the process? We're taking 7 billion lives and saving them to prevent how many trillions of other lives from being born. Who are we to like kind of do that? I also thought, and I would say, jumping ahead a little bit, that is probably my least favorite part. Not what Kingo did, but the whole idea of the film where it's like, we humanity, we are so great that we should fucking be saved just because. I get that,
I understand.
Yeah,
and I've thought about this contention because I feel the same way.
Yeah,
but at the end of the day, what living thing isn't going to fight for its own survival? Every living thing. That's what the whole point of being alive is. Yeah, but everything, bacteria, viruses, cancer, all of that stuff is fighting to stay alive.
It's
and
true.
That's at the expense of.
But again, I don't think we need to like.
Well, the Eternals.
I just wonder. I mean, I guess they never like come out and just say that in the movie, like. Humanity is so good, we should save it. But they were
special.
They consistently harped on like we love these people, these people.
Yeah,
the people,
man. I mean, it was the line. It's like, oh man, these humans are different. I mean, that was a little bit, pandering to our egos. It's true, but you know what? We are an egocentric people.
Can I just throw in, and I'm sorry, you can just say shut this down if you don't want to, but on this subject about the multiverse, like there's several multiverses where those billions of people now exist and Earth is gone. So really with the multiverse, does that mean there are entire galaxies that go through the same thing that Loki went through in his situation?
That seems to be like the implication, right? I mean, the idea of the multiverse is kind of hard to get your head around because it's like the idea is every moment can split off into multiple branches, right? And then that affects things. And it seems like that would be very close to an infinite number of multiverses.
Mm-hmm.
And so, it would be everything from the smallest to the largest. And it's a fun idea to play with.
Well, I mean, I wonder
differences.
if maybe season 2, season 3 of like Marvel's What If, do we get a episode where, Kingo like helps them, or maybe more of them don't help, or some kind of variation.
Yeah, why
of
not?
that.
I hope so.
I mean, that would be kind of interesting.
Yeah. Multiverse is weird to think about because then there's a multiverse where like humans didn't evolve, the grasshoppers did, and the grasshoppers are
The grasshoppers are ruling the world.
Yeah, and they, but they don't believe in driving, so they didn't develop cars, because they have wings. I don't know. It's just weird shit like that. It's just weird to think about.
Grasshoppers can't fly; they jump.
Oh, they don't have wings, do they?
That's I think you're thinking locusts, maybe.
Yeah, maybe.
Locust flies.
That whole family is very confusing to me. Whole family of insects. I just they creep me out, to be honest. Not
So
as much as
I
frogs,
gave
though.
my least favorite part, obviously, the general idea that humanity is just so good that it needs to be saved. Do you have a least favorite part?
Yes, but I can't think of it right now.
Okay.
I think overall, what I would say is the movie. I really enjoyed the movie, but the movie as a whole, it was rather clunky, and I use that word because it did rely. It needed to. I don't know how else you tell the story without it, but it relied heavily on flashbacks, which it felt like at least a third of the movie, maybe closer to half. And whenever you do that. Going forth, back and forth, back and forth. You have to reorient yourself whenever you make that jump, and so that takes a certain level of energy to be able to do that multiple times during a 2.5-hour movie. I enjoyed all the flashbacks. I thought I enjoyed them each for what they were.
Yeah.
It's just that you had to keep coming back to the present and then jumping back into a different time, and then back into the present, and then back into a different time. And so, that structure felt clunky. I don't know how else you do it, if that's a better way. And like I said, I did enjoy them, and I thought they added to the richness of the characters and why they had the certain viewpoints that they did. But so if I had at least every part, it'd be the structure, I suppose.
Like change the structure. Like, so would you keep flashbacks or just
I think you
keep
have
it
to.
all in the present?
Yeah, I think you have to. Honestly, what I would say is maybe the Eternals should have been a miniseries. And then you could have, done episodes at different time periods, and maybe that's the way you do it. But I enjoyed it. It's like I don't know how you make it a better movie structure wise.
I think a miniseries
Without losing something.
I think a miniseries or series would be tough to do.
Absolutely.
Because then because the MCU universe, like, it's just so large. Yeah. There will be questions of other things, like why aren't these things popping up?
Yeah.
Why are we like now around like the 1980s or 1990s and we're not seeing a Captain Marvel thing or whatnot? Like,
yeah,
I think it would be a little bit tough to kind of do stuff like that. Speaking of like timelines and all that, this movie based on I believe one of the producers came out a couple months ago and said that this movie does take place, in the present around the events of Spider-Man Far From Home. So that puts us around summer 2024.
Or is No Way Home? Far From Home?
Is it Far From Home? No Way Home's the new one.
Oh, okay. Okay, so it's the second one.
The second one, yeah.
Okay,
the one that came, the Marvel movie that came out immediately after Endgame.
That's right.
Because Sony demanded it.
Right.
Great relationship, Sony and Marvel. Just kidding, it's a terrible one.
The brotherhood is they're like brothers.
Yeah, I guess.
Better,
yeah,
but,
yeah, they step brothers. There you go.
Ooh.
One's Will Ferrell.
We were never brothers. We were step brothers.
I guess one of the things that's a couple of people have brought up is if it does take place around Far From Home, majority of this movie on Earth takes place somewhat in London. Beginning, definitely the ending where Cersei and Dane. We haven't even talked about Dane yet.
Yep.
Kit Harington's character, the Black Knight. They're discussing, and then all of a sudden, big celestial
pops up in the sky
in London, pulls her, and then disappears. Far From Home also has a big battle at London Bridge or Tower Bridge or whatever the fuck, whichever bridge, the famous bridge with Mysterio. A lot of events seem to be happening in London post Endgame.
Yeah.
Do you think it's a little weird? Like, let's pretend the end scene of Eternals happened month, 2 months, day after, a couple days after the events of Far From Home. Is it a little weird that Londoners are just going about their business hunky-dory?
I wonder if the Londoners would just be like, it's another Mysterio illusion. So if let's say it's in the same, because we'll touch on that other theory in a minute. But let's say takes place in the same universe. Mm-hmm. Maybe Londoners would just walk around and be like, oh yeah, okay. I mean, we have learned. I don't remember Far From Home that well, but I believe it was revealed that Mysterio was projecting illusions, right? Like, that's what he does.
Yeah.
So they might look at it and just be like, oh, here's another Mysterio. They're probably still scared, like, oh my God. But then they're also back of their minds are like, do we need to be too worried? It could be another illusion. Maybe we don't need to be worried.
Do you think then perhaps, because we were talking before the show, that in America, at least right now, there's a school shooting or shooting, and it runs a news cycle, it feels like, of a couple hours, and then everyone's on to the next thing.
It's all old news.
It's all old news. Do you think, like, how we have become desensitized to violence in the media, or, the media is presenting violence, do you think people in the MCU universe, like regular Joe Schmo, are desensitized to, like, these cosmic events? They're just like, oh, cool, there's a giant fucking face in the sky. Whoop-de-doo.
Well, let's how many Marvel movies have there been?
I think this one puts us at like 26 or something, 25.
So we have 25 crazy events, right? Involving all levels of masked vigilantes all the way up to cosmic beings coming to Earth, doing their thing, leaving, causing destruction, seeing these crazy fights, et cetera, et cetera. Some of them are publicized, some of them aren't, right?
It's 26 movies, by the way.
26, yeah. So, are they desensitized? Maybe not to the level that we are.
Yeah.
But you would imagine that they're not as shocked as the first time this happened, right? They're like, okay, Thor is here to save us, or we don't have Iron Man anymore. Oh, we don't have Captain America. Actually, why aren't they freaking out? Where's the Hulk? Oh, he's got a broken arm. He can't save us. Maybe they should be freaking out because, let's be honest, the end of Endgame, that Avengers team is looking pretty thin.
But I guess you also have to wonder, though, how public is that information.
That's the other thing,
right? Like,
too,
Stark dying, probably pretty public.
That's a public thing.
Captain America, based on what we saw in, like, Falcon Winter Soldier,
public.
I would say the running rumor, though, is like he's on the moon.
He's on the moon. That's true.
But nobody knows that he necessarily went back in time, and or there is maybe a old man version. Like, I don't think that part is public.
Yeah. I
think it's just that Captain America is doing something else.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, so that's good. That's good to know.
And then again, and then who knows how public the information is with, like, Black Widow. Do they know that Thor is off-world now? Or, I don't know how much information is public information.
Right. But if, it's a good like, what if? But let's say like the face of the Avengers, which it seems to have been Iron Man, right? Tony Stark. Like, he paid for a lot of the stuff,
right?
And he's dead. So maybe they should be freaking out more than they are because, who is there to protect them?
I guess, like,
who does London have? Does London have a Captain London?
Let's put
world,
Captain Britain or something of that nature.
Captain Marvel.
But I guess, like, let's put yourself in their shoes for a second, right?
Carter.
So you just lost, like, your loved ones for 5 years.
Yeah.
And they showed back up.
Yeah.
And then roughly, I don't know, I think it's like 8 months later, you're going about your business, and that giant fucking face shows up in the sky.
Yeah.
Which one is more freaky to you?
Oh, man. Oh, man, great.
If you're Aaron Rodgers, probably the vaccine or mask.
The vaccine is more shocking.
That's more shocking to you than a face in the fucking sky.
I guess it depends on how many friends you have.
Oh, okay.
If you're a super popular person,
yep.
Having a lot of your friends disappear for 5 years and then come back might be more shocking.
Right.
But if you're like a social recluse like myself, who doesn't have very many friends, maybe seeing the big face in the sky is more shocking.
I would imagine here's my theory though. I would imagine the big face in the sky, like for the 7 billion people on Earth, would be more scary.
Yeah.
Because you have to remember, 3.5 billion of those people were gone and didn't really experience the blip, right? Because to them, they were here and then they're back, right?
After 5 years.
So I guess you should seeing a giant fucking face.
Yeah, it would be terrifying.
Would be the most terrifying thing. And then if we go back to the events of Far From Home, where it's Mysterio and everything, you could argue that's a terrorist attack, right? The bridge is blowing up. There's explosion. There's gunfire. Yeah. That's terrorism. So that's not that shocking, especially like in the real world. So I would say this, like if we don't hear going forward in the timeline, like, hey, where were you when there was a giant fucking face in the sky?
So let me ask you this then.
That's a problem.
Let me ask you this. Okay. Where in No Way Home do you want to see it addressed? You want to address right off the bat? You want like Peter Parker hang out with Mary Jane on the roof, you know, that rooftop scene?
Yep.
And they're talking and giggling and, you know, being in love, whatever. You want one of them to be like, hey, you know, when I saw that face, I thought about you and being there, saving you.
Either that or even
something stupid like that.
Something. Well, I mean, this is the other part that's kind of tricky because and again, I don't know because the movie hasn't come out yet for the next Spider-Man film. But from what I understand, the next Spider-Man film takes place like immediately after Far From Home. So again, timelines are all kind of fucked up. So it's very possible that Eternals is happening
while
during or after
No Way Home.
No Way Home. And then tying this back into the theory that Michael presented.
Yep.
What if the Spider-Man, like, what if there's already been the cataclysmic event-y split thing, and the Spider-Man Far From Home, No Way Home, and the events of Eternals are actually just two different universes altogether?
You know, that would be the cleanest way to do it.
Mm-hmm.
It'd be like, I mean, we've introduced the multiverse already with the Loki. We've seen that things are getting out of hand over there, you know, at the end of that show with a bunch of Kangs being released or whatever. So it being in a whole bunch of other universes, easy, clean way. You don't have to address it in No Way Home. You can have Venom showing up doing whatever he wants, and you don't have to, you know, we don't have to, you know, punch ourselves in the head trying to figure out how it all fits together.
Oh, hey, real quick. Even once Spider-Man No Way Home has come out, premiered and all that, regardless of what the end scene is and all that fun stuff, you still have to deal with the fallout that is Jared Leto's Morbius a couple weeks later. So enjoy that fucking headache.
Oh, man.
Honestly, but here's my theory real quick.
Yeah.
And I kind of hope this happens because it would be a nice way to, again, change of pace when it comes to Marvel films. Ooh. Instead of the end scene for Spider-Man being like something to propel in the future or whatever, I would love it if it ends where whatever the fallout of the movie is, like maybe there's 50 Spider-Man living in this universe, whatever. 50. But I would love it if it ended with, look in the fucking sky, there's a goddamn face in the sky, and then everyone's freaking out, and then you just end it. Because it would be a nice way to be like, okay, yeah, the Eternals and the Celestials, this is a big thing because, again, there's a fucking face in the sky.
Yeah. Yep. Face. I agree.
It has to be like a world event. It can't just be the Londoners saw it. I mean, that was it.
Imagine the religions. I think the Mary Jane Peter Parker conversation is, you know, that face in the sky, and the other one goes, oh, you mean God?
Which essentially
are you going to go to the sacrifice to it later?
Oh man, that would be next level awesome.
Speaking of after credit scenes, again, we didn't really touch upon this, but Dane, Kit Harington's character, who we know is going to be, is it Dane? It's Dane.
Yeah, no, it is.
Dane. Who's going to become the Black Knight. We got a post-credit scene with him being afraid of a sword, and then eventually going and picking up a sword, and then a voice that says something along the lines of, you know, are you sure you want to pick that up? And then, you know, it was revealed by the director, Chloe. How do you say her name?
Zhao? Cho, yeah.
So the director revealed in a presser that the voice is actually going to be the actor who's playing the new Blade,
Mahershala Ali.
Ali, which I think is both fascinating, and it also kind of feels like let's just throw chaos in there for shits and giggles.
Well, it's already chaotic.
Mm-hmm.
My question is, now when we did Morbius, the Morbius trailer reaction, I think on our last podcast, I said, you can't have Morbius without Blade.
Right.
Do we think the timing is interesting? Do we think maybe Blade, the character, was chosen? Because I don't know anything about the Black Knight. So my question to you, I guess, first is this. Black Knight character in the MCU, does he have ties to Blade? That's the first question. Do they have history? Or is this the first time that we're seeing these two?
No, they do have history.
They do, okay.
Because, again, the Black Knight is actually Dane's family. Like, they pass the sword down.
A cursed sword.
The ebony blade. And it gives eternal life as well, or long life.
Oh.
Depending on which comic you read. But Blade does work with the Black Knight in certain arcs for different things.
Amazing.
And Morbius as well kind of pops in there as well. I think it's just a coinkydink.
I don't know.
Because, again, you have to go back to, like, the confusion that is Marvel and Sony.
Yeah. Is it? Maybe that's what they want us to think. Maybe Kevin Feige is a mad genius. And who's the head of Sony?
I think he is just mad.
Oh,
I don't think there's a genius there. I just think he's mad.
Oh, he's just insane? I don't know. I mean, but put it this way. I think it would be so cool. And you're right. It probably isn't true, and I'm asking for too much. But I think it would be so cool that we have Morbius coming out. We've seen like two trailers or 2 teasers or whatever. And then you have Blade talking to the Black Knight at the end of Eternals. And I'm like, oh, man, the synergy. If they get that right, if Blade pops up in Morbius, or Dane.
All I can say is, you remember when Twilight came out?
Yeah.
And vampires were cool again?
Yeah.
Vampires are going to become cool again.
Because of, Blade.
Because of Blade, because of Morbius, like...
Blade, Morbius?
Yeah. I don't know how I feel about this. What else do we want to talk about before we get out of here?
What was the first after credit scene?
First one was...
The face?
No. The first one was was it Blade or was it Harry Styles? It's Harry Styles, and then it was the Blade.
And then it was Blade.
Well, Black Knight.
Two very strong after credit scenes. Usually you get one good one, sometimes no good one. This one, I thought we got 2 pretty good ones. At least they leave good in the way that more questions than answers, which I assume is the point of an.
I also like the fact that like they threw Eros in there and they have Harry Styles playing the character, because it's smart on Disney's part and Marvel's part, because it's like everyone knows at this point who and what Thanos is.
Yeah.
Right? And the fact that like Eros is related to Thanos,
why isn't he purple?
Your average consumer can be like, I know who that guy is. I understand.
Thanos, I know him.
Also, and in terms of why Thanos is purple and Eros is white, according to the comics, Thanos is purple because he's half deviant and half eternal.
Oh, he's half deviant.
Well, because he tends to go more towards the dark side, his skin turned purple. While Eros is more kind of playful, neutral, whatever the fuck. He's
the god of love.
So he's not a god.
Are all Titans half eternal, half deviant?
Yes.
The question is our children learning? And the answer is no, obviously.
Let's do you want to do a quick ranking here? So 2021's not done yet.
Let's do it. But
I think 2021 is actually there's still one more Marvel property coming out in 2021, Hawkeye, the Disney Plus series.
That'll be last.
I don't include Spider-Man in there because it is a Sony product or property technically.
Oh, that's fair.
But we're going to recap the 8 projects, Marvel projects that have come out so far in 2021. WandaVision, Falcon Winter Soldier, Black Widow, Loki, What If, Shang-Chi, and now Eternals. And I kind of just want you to rank from least favorite to most favorite so far in 2021 in terms of what we've seen so far.
Okay. Pains me to do this, but last is probably Falcon and the Winter Soldier.
Damn.
I think after that would be I'm sorry. Black Widow is last. Falcon Winter Soldier is 7th. Then I'm gonna put What If at 6th. And then I'm gonna do I'm gonna do Shang-Chi.
Whoa.
At 5th. I like Shang-Chi. I think everything after this is pretty good. Shang-Chi at 5th. I think 4th is going to be WandaVision.
Wow. Okay. That's surprising to me.
Yeah. I liked WandaVision a lot. What's left here? Eternals, obviously.
Loki, and What If.
Wait, no, I did What If already.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, you did. Eternals.
Yeah. And then what's the third one?
No, you got Falcon Winter Soldier.
That's 7th, yeah. I think we're missing one.
Or is it only Jordyin just not count right?
Yeah, he must have. So anyway, it's easy then. It goes Eternals, and then Loki is my favorite.
Loki's your favorite?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. My list is kind of similar, but I think like you, Black Widow is going to be my least favorite.
Mm-hmm.
Falcon Winter Soldier next.
Yeah.
Then WandaVision. And then I'm going to go with... Oh, wow. Actually, this is tough. Ooh. Yeah, probably What If. Yeah, actually What If.
Help from your producer. I like that.
Help from the producer. Then I'm going to go with Loki.
Wow. Loki's low for you.
Yeah, then Shang-Chi.
Well, not low, but...
And then Eternals.
Wow, you're putting Eternals first.
Yeah, I really liked Eternals.
I mean,
Like I thought it was cool.
Yeah.
Shang-Chi's another one I like too, just because again it felt very different from everything else. My only gripe with Shang-Chi was the fucking big clusterfuck of an ending.
I mean, to be honest, everything that came out this year,
they tried something different.
The only one that I really, was like
same old.
Say I, was like bored was Black Widow. I thought everything else was like interesting. So
100%.
I thought honestly, maybe would you say maybe the strongest year of Marvel ever?
I would say the most different.
Well, it's obviously the most content. So
definitely the most content ever. Yes,
I think it's the most probably we've ever come out from them. So
it's crazy because like we still
based
have
on
Black.
Numbers alone.
We have Hawkeye, and then we have Spider-Man. And then that's a total of.
And don't forget Venom. If you're gonna put Spider-Man in there,
you gotta put Venom in there as well.
Would be last if we were including Sony.
Yes.
Like in fact, it would be Venom, and then I would skip several spots, and then Black Widow. Yeah, because Venom was awful.
Black Widow was
at least Black Widow was like somewhat entertaining and funny. You know, in parts. So, favorite Eternal?
Did you have
one? That's a good one. I had. Oh man, I like them all for very different reasons, but Druig is my favorite.
Oh, nice.
Because he had the most interesting power where he can just control humans, and so he was put in quite a predicament, right? He could stop war and suffering, but that was not what he was there. That's not what that was.
Well, the other thing too, though, is he would also be removing free will at that point. So
I thought he was put in quite the quandary, and I thought the performance reflected that angst, and I thought all the character choices made sense for him. So yeah, he was my favorite.
My favorite.
Oh, I like Kingo a lot too.
My favorite is going to be Karan.
Who?
Karan.
Who's that?
Kingo's.
His videographer.
Yeah, he's an honorary Eternal in my mind.
He has some like great lines, like but like the dinner table scene. Where
he's like, I'm biased.
He's like, what should we do? They're like, what should we do? And he's like, I think you should save humanity.
I'm a little biased. But
so good.
As a videographer, like, respect the man for having like 1 billion cameras.
Dedication to the craft.
Yeah. He was a prepared individual. Like, I'm not even kind of kidding when I say like he was my favorite. Like,
he was
character.
Great.
Like, he was great. He was
honestly that casting. Brilliant, and I hope he's back.
And he best be back.
Yeah,
he got that shot when Kingo asked him. He had it.
He got it. He's a professional. He's a professional. I love it.
Did you have a least favorite Eternal? Like one that annoyed the hell out of you?
Sprite.
Yeah,
I mean,
Sprite
it's
was
the easy
annoying.
one, and it's not even. It's just the character. You know?
Yeah,
the performance was great. It's just that character being like this whiny, woe is me.
Yep.
And, you know, and just annoying teenager. There's no such thing as a cool teenager. It just doesn't exist, right? So any teenager, it's gonna be the least favorite. Let's be honest.
No, I definitely back that up.
Yeah,
I think Sprite
Arjuna
was
said
kind of
all of
just.
them.
I don't think he did. I think that's our producer typing it in.
We should mention it's actually a shame that we don't have Arjuna for this, because I think Arjuna would have brought a very different viewpoint to this movie.
I bet he would have said no.
Eternals caused Arjuna 2 headaches.
That's true.
2 really bad headaches.
He saw it twice, and both times
he had headaches. So
Yeah.
we can blame Eternals. And also, I feel like he was a bit less on the enthusiasm factor than we are.
It makes
in this
sense.
movie.
He might be allergic to good story. Oh, I'm kidding, Arjuna.
Have you met Krast?
bold. Do you have a bold prediction for the future? Like, where do we think?
Eternals.
Yeah, where do you think things are going as of right now? And again, when Phase 1, when Phase 1 was kind of up and starting for Marvel, it wasn't really apparent that Thanos was going to be the big baddie. It was in the works, but it wasn't really revealed just yet.
Yeah.
We're obviously in Phase 4. We're really kind of 10-15% into Phase 4, so we're not entirely sure who the big baddie is.
We have some contenders.
We got a ton of like people are throwing things out like Ultimate Vision or Crazy Vision. People are throwing out Galactus,
Kang,
Arishem. Like, so I guess where do you think we're getting Do you think we're getting a better idea of who it could be based on this movie, or
not at all?
Nice.
If anything, it's just throwing a wrench in everything. You can have ideas. I personally would like to see, if the first 3 phases were all about the good guys teaming up, let's have all these ultra overpowered bad guys team up. I don't know how you do that believably or even well.
Yep.
In fact, that sounds like a terrible idea now that I say it.
Have you heard of Sony's Sinister Six?
Yeah, this would blow them out of the water. Can you imagine if Kang and Arishem and Ultravision and, oh God, that would be chaos.
So do you have a bold prediction just for the future of the Eternals? Based like kind of on what you've seen with the after credits.
Yeah, it's interesting because we saw the 3 remaining Eternals who were left on Earth get taken by Arishem.
Yep.
And then we've got 3 Eternals meeting Eros. Mm-hmm. So the Eternals right now are split up. So I wouldn't be shocked.
And there's still one on Earth.
Yeah, I wouldn't be shocked if the future of Eternals is an eternal war.
Oh wait, sorry, no, there is not one on Earth. They were all taken. Never mind.
Yeah, an eternal civil war.
Eternal civil war.
We'll have like some Eternals facing off because they've already set up really well in this movie where the Eternals don't always get along. They all have very different viewpoints, and they're all stubborn about them, right? They all kind of stuck to their guns for the most part. I didn't see a whole lot of compromise going on. There was some, obviously. That's how you got the ending. But for the most part, they all kind of stuck to their guns. So the Eternals have sort of been presented now as these like kind of strong characters who believe what they believe. Mm-hmm. We've just got introduced to a new Eternal, Eros. So yeah, why not? We've got Eternals in different places. Let's set up like a little inter-Eternal war. Maybe Icarus can come back and lead the good guys,
or just
against
be confused.
Athena's bad guys or something.
That would be kind of
That'd be awesome.
I think for me, bold predictions. I think the Eternals that are floating in space. There's gonna be some kind of crossover with the Guardians.
Ooh,
I think something will happen.
That would be fun. Actually, that would make sense, right? We got an Adam Warlock casting. I don't know what the fuck he is, but he seems powerful. So, why not have some powerful superheroes in space meet other powerful superheroes in space?
And then to add to that, I also think that Nick Fury is going to show up as well, because we know Nick Fury is on a Kree ship, potentially doing stuff with the secret organization of SWORD. Mm-hmm. So I think there is going to be a central space opera story
Galactic
crossover
Patrol
thing or whatever.
Yeah.
But I think that's I wouldn't be surprised if we see the Harry Styles and Athena and crew in Guardians. What is it? 4 or 3?
3. Guardians
3 is coming later down the road. Wouldn't be surprised if they show up potentially either there or if they show up in Thor 4. Was it Love and Thunder? With who also have the Guardians in there already. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if there's like an after credit scene or something.
Yeah, it's fun. It's going to be a good time. I'm glad we're leaving Earth and going into space.
Yeah, fuck that place. Earth sucks.
Yeah. Earth is it's just been done. It's been overdone.
Yeah.
It's cliche now.
Earth is cliche.
Why do Earth when you can do
Space.
anywhere else?
Yeah.
Literally.
Chris, it's just you and I, so we can flip a coin to decide who asked the question, or
I'll ask
no
it.
nose goes.
All right, Ravi?
Yes.
Was Eternals good?
You know, we just sat here for over an hour and, basically talked about how amazing and surprising it was and how polarizing it was. So therefore, I'm probably just going to say yes. But I like to go about a ring around the rosy type of way.
Of course.
And again, like I just said, it was a surprising movie. It was polarizing, which I think is always somewhat can be a good thing because it gets different viewpoints and all that fun stuff. Krishna, was Eternals good?
It was good. I enjoyed it very much, and I'm still thinking about it to this day, and I want to see it again.
Same. I want to see it next time in IMAX because I think the scale of the Celestials, I think we missed out a little bit doing it in Dolby as opposed to IMAX.
Potentially, yeah.
But I think they did visually they did a good job. I actually can't complain too much about the CGI. Like I usually
we didn't even talk about it, but we did a little bit. But the fight scenes, especially with Icarus's eye blast, Kingo's blast, like the blast, the golden blast.
It was blastful.
Gilgamesh's punching and
Thena's swords.
Thena was great. By the way, Angelina Jolie, amazing choice. I don't even know where she's been except for the Snow White movies, right? So great casting choice there as well.
Yeah,
the whole thing,
nice surprise, which was awesome. So.
Yeah.
And I'm actually glad that I was wrong that she wasn't the big baddie.
Yeah.
And we're gonna see more of her.
Yeah,
which I think is cool.
Yeah,
gotta get that paycheck.
Yeah, gotta get that money.
I mean, that's if you want to be a serious actor now in Hollywood, if you're not attached to Marvel or Star Wars,
yeah, you're gonna starve. Because
basically.
they're taking all the money.
Yeah.
That's the only movies that people see now.
Yeah.
Every other movie is losing money.
Keanu Reeves actually gives away his money because
he's too good of a man.
Well, actually, speaking of giving away movies, and then we'll end this, Will Smith gave away part of his salary. Is it King Richard? The new golf movie that he's starring in.
Oh, yeah. No. Tennis. The Serena Williams.
He actually gave some of his paycheck to the crew because they're doing a digital release as opposed to just a theater only. So I guess that screws some, cast over or crew over, in terms of salary. So
that's a nice gesture.
That's a very nice gesture.
Yeah. I wish the studios, the people who can,
Oh yeah, that would be nice.
Would take point on that, but yeah.
Nope.
Can't have everything.
And with that, that's going to do it for us here. And was it good? Like I said at the beginning of the show, we we put our entire pod out on YouTube in video format on youtube.com/wasitgood. You can follow us on Twitter at wasitgood to determine find out when our next pod is. We're on TikTok and Instagram at wasitgood. And actually, our next pod is going to be this Friday, and we are actually live streaming it for a change on YouTube/wasitgood. It's actually just going to be Arjuna and I, and we're going to be talking and recapping the Disney Plus extravaganza event where a bunch of new content and new things will come out. And
will Tim Cook be there?
Why?
I don't know. I think of live events and think of Apple and therefore Tim Cook.
Interesting. It's a different one.
I don't actually watch those.
And on that, we're going to end it. Goodbye.
Arjuna.
This movie sucks.